Hello and welcome. For all that you don't know us, I'm Craig and this is Kev, and we are the Best Men. First of all, I would just like to say how honoured we are of being Best Men, so thank you.
Now, we're both not very good at public speaking, and we're both a little nervous. In fact, the last time we were this nervous was waiting for Phil to get around in at the bar.
I'd like to think that Phil chosen us to be joint best men so we could be by his side on his wedding day. However, Kev reckons that Phil only picked us for the wedding photos, me so he'd look more muscly, and Kev so he'd look taller.
Joking aside, it's easy to see why Phil has asked Craig, being the true gent he is. I, on the other hand, have taken a bit of reining in. I didn't want to embarrass Phil too much today, so I've taken a bit of advice, which I'll just refer to. So apparently, I can't mention any past relationships, anything to do with drinking, fighting, or strip joints. No jokes about Mother of the Bride. No racist or homophobic jokes. And finally, nothing about Phil being mad. Which pretty much rules out everything I know about Phil, so... Maybe you're just going to have to give me a minute while I think some other stuff.
Okay, well I didn't know Phil at school, so I've had to rely on his own version of events regarding his education. From this, I gathered that Phil was an exceptionally gifted student and he excelled in almost everything he did. Be it sports, maths or English, and he left school to the great sadness of his headmaster.
Well, I did go to school with Phil. And I can tell you that's complete rubbish. I remember him to be a rather obese, annoying little pupil who excelled at nothing. He was constantly picked on and regularly beaten up. And that was just by the teachers. He most certainly wasn't gifted at sports either. It didn't matter what position he played in, he was useless. I just hope Wendy has better luck.
I have known Phil for about 8 years and personally grateful that Phil was also best man at my wedding. He has always been there for me. He's such a kind, caring and thoughtful person. Wendy, you have found yourself an honest gent.
Sorry, Craig, what was that last word you said? Honest. Funny you should say that. I've got a little story about Phil. And it involves him buying a gaming gun from Scunthorpe Market. Now this was the gun of all guns, so much so that we both wanted it. But Phil got in there first. However, being the great guy that he is, a little over than a week later, he decided that I could have it, for a small fee of course. Now I've not gone on about it much, have I, Phil? But the gun was actually broken, and I've never forgiven him for it. But I suppose I can now ask me to be one of the best men. So that we can move on and draw a line in the sand, Phil, and let bygones be bygones. I've bought you a little gift today, just to show how much I can forgive you. Craig, if you just pass me it for me, please. There you go, Phil. Sorry mate, it's a bit broken. I bought it in the sale and there's no returns.
One thing that me and Phil do have in common is we both like a good drink. We once went for pre-stag do drinks. It ended up being an expensive night as it cost us more than just a hangover. The following morning we pulled up to the airport to watch our flight take off without us. £250 and 15 hours later we finally made it to Prague to a standing ovation.
Now that's one thing I actually agree with Craig on. Although Phil's drinking always starts off well, he does dacker off towards the end though. A bit like he does in bed, so I'm told. We once went for the famous cider pub, Brandy Wharf, with its extra strength cider. Phil managed to off the minibus to fall over a parked BMW before getting refused entry to Geneva Bar. It didn't help that the BMW was owned by the manager. A few choice words later, and we decided to call it a night, and jumped in a taxi. Phil was sat in the front and managed to be sick all over the dashboard without the driver actually noticing. A quick dash inside, and he managed to be sick up all up the walls and in the bath. It's okay though, Wendy, don't worry. He managed to clean it all up the next day, even if it was with a hoover.
On a different note, I know that we shouldn't really talk about the stag doing the best man speech. Whatever happens in Hamburg stays in Hamburg. Just nearly like Ian's passport and a certain individual's driving licence.
Enough said. On a serious note, it was an amazing weekend in Rotterdam and Hamburg, and I suppose now's the time to tell you that all the shots that we had were water, Phil. Obviously not yours though.
Now, as a married man myself, I'd like to offer Phil some advice. For a long-lasting and happy marriage, just remember those 3 little words. You're right, Wendy. Now is the time to start making your own history together.
That's really funny, that, Craig. I was just thinking to myself how history repeats itself. How almost 30 years ago, Wendy's mum and dad were sending their daughter to bed with a dummy. And the same thing is happening again tonight.
I'd like to say a few thank yous to the people who have made today special. I thank the bridesmaids, the groomsmen, and all the parents who I'm sure are very proud. The bridesmaids do look fantastic, but I'm sure we all agree that one person stands head and shoulders above the rest today, and that's Wendy. You look stunning. Phil, you have really bagged yourself a beauty there.
I'd like to close, sort of, by saying that preparing this speech hasn't been easy. For those that know me, I like to plan and be organised, and Phil knows I was very disappointed to find out this venue didn't have a projector or a giant screen. So Phil thought he was saved. However, we both wanted to do something really special that he wouldn't forget. And trust me, Phil, you're not going to forget this. You're going to be having nightmares about it. The only thing that's kept us going is knowing that you'll probably be more embarrassed than we are. So I do apologise to everybody. Just get ready. Yes, it is happening, Phil. Yeah, boy. Now, this is a story all about Phil and his life got turned upside down. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how we ended up at the wedding of the year. Come on, Phil, get a bit of a jig on. In sunny Scuddy, born and raised in the bike shed where he spent most of his days, chilling out, maxing, relaxing all cool, drinking White Lightning outside of school. Next thing you know, Phil's in the police. He thought he was great. He bought a Lois Elise. Cruising around in his hairdresser's car. Surely this wasn't going to get him far. I don't know what it was, but he made Mendy drool. We just thought he looked a massive fool. When a couple of neighbours who were up to no good started causing trouble in his neighbourhood, he got in one little ball pump fight and he got scared. So he moved to Rawby because nothing happens there. He popped the question and she said yes. Next thing you know, she's shopping for a wedding dress. If anything, I'd like to say that this love was rare, but next thing you know, she'll be picking the clothes you wear. It wasn't long and Phil sold his toys, they settled down and got Reggie Boy. If you think things are going to be wild, next thing you know, you'll be having a child. You best get used to it, things ain't going to be fair, and to top it off, you're already losing your hair. Now you've got each other through thick and thin. I'll warn you now, there'll be some quarrels, but rest assured, you can look forward to sitting on the throne of the squirrels. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that little rap. Now let's give the bride and groom a massive clap. I say the word rap loosely, by the way. That was worth it, Craig.